Now where'd that batarang go?
Now hand it over.
The films and television shows inspired by DC Comics feature plenty of pristine, shiny, and stylish props and costumes. So much so that it tempted many of the stars behind the characters to take something home with them, even if they weren't always allowed to.
Everything we tried on, I was like, okay, if this doesn't end up in the movie, please can I keep it?
Wonder Woman's golden winged costume in Wonder Woman 1984 is absolutely stunning to look at, and would likely make for a good decoration in one's home. Gal Gadot felt the same way as she took the golden helmet home with her after filming on the sequel had wrapped. Gadot claimed that she normally does not even take movie props home with her, unlike many other actors, but the helmet was just too meaningful to pass up. It's a symbol of strength, of legacy, of hope. I love having it with me to remind me of all that.
It only looks expensive.
Gadot revealed that it's not actually gold, but instead made of plastic and paint.
I dare ya.
Birds of Prey is filled with plenty of fashion that made it extremely hard for Harley Quinn herself, Margot Robbie, to resist taking home, even if it was not her costume to begin with.
I took a pair of shorts that we didn't actually end up wearing as one of the costumes, but I really liked them.
On top of that, Robbie also took home one of the tops worn by Jurnee Smollett's Black Canary, though she says that if Smollett wants it back, she can have it, despite her fondness of it. Of course, since she is Harley Quinn after all, Robbie also kept one of the anti-hero's signature bats, because why wouldn't she?
For once, I'm operating strictly on faith, not on reason.
Batman is a character who is known for being secretive and is able to get out of situations without leaving a trace, other than his calling card. Ben Affleck, on the other hand, was not as successful as the character he played when he took home the Caped Crusader's iconic batarang. While the film's crew obviously kept track of major props like the Batmobile, Affleck did not think anyone would notice if he stole a batarang.
I kept getting these phone calls from the prop department like, you sure you haven't found any of that stuff yet?
The crew ended up realizing that their star brought home a batarang and even billed him for it. Batman is notoriously wealthy, so he'll probably be fine.
It activates the ring's higher functions, including a working knowledge base.
While we have come to love Ryan Reynolds as the Merc with a Mouth Deadpool, you may have forgotten that he once played Hal Jordan, also known as Green Lantern, though Reynolds would likely want you to forget about that role.
I'm sorry about that.
Reynolds still wanted to keep a memento from his time as the intergalactic hero, but it was fairly difficult as there was not as much to choose from as one might expect. One of the only physical props was, of course, the hero's iconic ring, which Reynolds ended up bringing home with him, along with marrying his co-star from the film, Blake Lively.
He's 1,000 years old, and now he's just an ornament in my living room. Ew.
Jurnee Smollett really bonded with her castmates while filming Birds of Prey, to the point where she ended up taking home props that didn't necessarily belong to her character, Black Canary.
I got the Goodnight Bat. Don't tell Harley.
Not to worry, as Margot Robbie has a bat of her own as well. Smollett also brought home the belly ring and the nose ring that her character wore throughout the movie. Seems like Smollett is just as stylish as Black Canary.
Figuring out how to cheat. It's very easy to corrupt.
John Cena was one of the biggest highlights of James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, playing the role of Peacemaker. While many actors have been uncomfortable with their supersuits, Cena grew up quite fond of them and ended up taking the costume home with him. Cena has even gone as far as to have worn the costume to various places, including late-night talk shows and the film's red carpet premiere.
I've learned that if you just keep the costume on, they don't ask for it back.
Cena was even able to continue wearing his beloved toilet seat helmet and red, yellow, and blue suit for the Peacemaker spin-off series. Though James Gunn teased Cena that if he doesn't return the costume, there might not be a second season of the show.
Cuz I ate it, okay?
Jay Basco was one of the big breakouts from Birds of Prey, where she starred as a young Cassandra Cain, a character who, in the comics, would go on to become Batgirl. Basco had to wear a pink arm cast for her character, which she started to take a liking to throughout filming.
They ended up making, 15 of them, so they're just take one.
Basco even drew all over her casts while filming to show off her artistic skills, proudly claiming that the cast was her armor.
Well, you think you can do better?
Zachary Levi has always been very vocal about being a bit more geek when it comes to pop culture, so playing the hero Shazam was a dream come true to him. A neon sign in the film's strip club scene ended up catching Levy's eye, which led him to start getting ideas.
If that gets to live anywhere, I want it to be in my garage or something. So that's
That's where it is.
That's what I took.
While Levy is mighty proud of his on-set souvenir from the film, he said that he would likely have to return it, should the production team ever need it again.
I'm a natural-born thief, so yeah.
Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller have shown just how excited they were to take on the iconic roles of Aquaman and The Flash. While these two play superheroes on screen, sometimes it's hard to resist taking something when it catches your eye, especially in the iconic Batcave. Momoa and Miller proudly took home what they claim to be minor props. Both actors took home bat bullets, which were little bullets with a tiny red cap on top. Momoa did try to clear the air by revealing that he ended up giving the sleek prop to his son. Ray Fisher has been vocal about his experience working on Justice League, but he still greatly enjoyed working with Zack Snyder and the cast. So of course, an up-and-coming actor like himself would want to bring back a keepsake from the film to show off to his friends and family. And he knew exactly what he wanted: Victor's Gotham City University varsity jacket. 2 versions of the jacket were made for the film, and Fisher ended up coaxing the production team to let him quote-unquote borrow one of them. I may let you guys see it one day, but no touching. Understood.
My dad was definitely not into it as a career choice.
Zack Snyder is one of those directors who is just as well known as many of the stars of his movies, and he naturally took advantage of that kind of power. He even made a cameo appearance as a customer at a cafe alongside Ezra Miller's Barry Allen in the long-awaited Snyder cut of Justice League. Snyder brought home the painted portrait of Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Batman's father, Thomas Wayne, from the set of Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, and proudly hung it up in his home gym. Consider it a trophy of sorts.
Meow.
Michelle Pfeiffer was a fan favorite in the role of Batman's seductive rival/lover, Catwoman, in the sequel Batman Returns. Of course, the feline-themed character is not complete without her trusty whip, and Pfeiffer couldn't fight the urge to take the weapon home with her. Pfeiffer has the iconic whip hanging in her closet at home, though she stresses that it can be very dangerous.
These things can draw blood.
Matt Ryan won over the hearts of fans in his portrayal as DC anti-hero Constantine in the NBC series, but the series tragically only lasted 1 season. Fortunately, he found second life for the character in the Arrowverse. While Ryan wasn't able to grab anything on set while he was on the set of Arrow, he did take a major prop from his debut series. Ryan snagged the title character's lighter, which is embossed with some supernatural etchings.
I don't use it though because I'll lose it.
Batman and Robin is one of the most reviled superhero movies ever made.
I hate when people talk during the movie.
But that didn't stop the film's star-filled cast from wanting to take home many of the film's neat props, including Mr. Freeze himself, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Peter McGregor Scott, a producer of the film, revealed that Schwarzenegger had to negotiate with the studio in order to take home the Frosty villain's suit, which led them to come to quite the unusual compromise. He had to sign a contract, and I think he pays $1 per year to borrow the costume. The lights in those costumes last 9,000 hours. He doesn't have them on all day long, but he does turn them on quite frequently. Michael Rosenbaum was a hit in the role of the iconic Superman villain Lex Luthor in the beloved series Smallville. Many of Rosenbaum's castmates, including Clark Kent himself, Tom Welling, are quite jealous of Rosenbaum's souvenir from set, the white suit worn by Lex Luthor when he becomes president.
I mean, what the hell, man? It's all so cool. I'm a bit of a geek.
Who knows, Rosenbaum might need to put on that fancy suit again for another special occasion. From suits, weapons, lights, casts, and more, these DC superhero stars definitely knew exactly what they wanted from the set of their films, even if they were caught in the act. Why would they pass up on the opportunity to take home a nice-looking prop? What's your favorite prop from the DC universe?